Hello guys, today I want to show you a new Laravel feature released in Laravel 11.38 recently. This small improvement will allow us to specify specific middleware for specific methods of the controller in the routes file instead of doing that in the controller. Let me demonstrate. So this pull request was by Mr. Punyapal. It started actually in October 24, and then after a few changes it was released only now in January, but it received a lot of positive engagements and good vibes from the community. So let me explain the situation and the problem. For example, you have a controller, this is a very simple example, and you have auth group, route middleware auth, and you have all that controller under auth except for a few methods. For example, you have post controller and you want index and show to be public. Here's the project based on Laravel Breeze, and as you can see in the top right corner, login and register. So I'm not logged in, but I still see the post list because now there's a method withoutMiddlewareFor. So in addition to route resource, you specify for which method Laravel needs to disable certain middleware. In this case, auth, which is added in the route group, but would be disabled here. For example, if I comment that out and have only route resource, so the auth will be automatically applied. And now if I refresh the page, I'm redirected to login, which means I'm not authorized, or rather authenticated. Authorization is about gates. Authentication is about logged in or public user. Those two words, authentication and authorization, have been a general confusion to me over the years as a non-native English speaker. Anyway, so this is the method withoutMiddlewareFor, so exception for some methods if you want to disable a middleware. The opposite of that is middlewareFor, which actually was the beginning of that pull request in the first place. So withoutMiddlewareFor came only after a few suggestions on the GitHub pull request. But middlewareFor is actually the opposite if you want to enable some middleware only for specific method of that resource controller. So for example, you have posts, public, I have enabled that again. But for show method, you want to define a middleware which is published, and that published middleware alias is in Bootstrap app here with middleware, so it's a custom middleware. For example, this is kind of almost a fake example, but so you get the idea. Some kind of middleware, which in this case, if the post is not published, it would return abort 404, not found. Except if the post is author themselves, so only the author may see their own posts. And in the database, I have this scenario. Post number 1 is published with published at, but the second one has null. So see, in the table, if I click view on the post number 1, it is visible, all good, it is published. But then if I click on post number 2, I'm greeted with 404 not found error message. And again, this is a pretty artificial example. You would probably do that in other way, but the main idea is that you can specify the method of resource controller to enable some middleware or disable some middleware, and do that all in the routes file. Previously, the developers have been doing that in the controllers, and then it's kind of a confusion where to look for middlewares. I personally like it to be all in the routes, so all the URLs and the rules about the routes, which are middleware, should be in the routes web, in my personal opinion. So this pull request and this new feature will help that consistency. So thank you, Punyapal, for that pull request. By the way, Punyapal is very active on Twitter, so I advise you to follow him about Laravel tips, tricks, and various questions and polls and retweets. He's very active, so see 23,000 posts, although he joined Twitter only in June 2022. For comparison, my profile, 45,000 posts, and I'm pretty active, I think, but only twice as much as Punyapal, but I joined in December 2012. So yeah, Punyapal is very active on Twitter and you should follow him. I will put the link to his profile in the description below. What do you think about this new feature? Will you use it, or do you use some alternative way of achieving the same thing? Let's discuss as usual in the comments below. That's it for this time, and see you guys in other videos.